Hey everybody, it's Jane, and along with Amanda and Becky I make up one of the Stampanory design team for Erica. Just wanted to go back to the Dancing Ladies collection. This is one of my favourites, I think, after cotton socks. It's really difficult to know actually because I love them all. But anyway, this I'm going to use Hope, and I thought I've got so many papers in my stash that I really need to use them rather than keep making new backgrounds. So from my stash I'm going to be using this card. I can't remember where it came from actually. I've just found the sheets in amongst my pile of many papers and thought I must make use of it all. Just using that, matting and layering a bit of gold onto a craft card. I thought that looked quite nice. Anyway, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Right, so first off I'm just going to decide where I want to place Hope. And I think I'm going to have her going in that direction. And I'm just going to print her onto here, and then I'm going to print her again, colour her in, do a bit of fussy cutting and then put her on top. But this just gives me the little background details that I'm not going to get when I cut her out. So they'll be in the background, her on top. Hope it makes sense once you see what I'm up to. Right, so I'm just going to stamp her out in black. Little press. Miserably cold day here. The sun started shining first thing this morning. Went to take the dog out for a walk and it absolutely hammered it down with rain as soon as I got it out of the car. Went to the New Forest, but it was very soggy. Right, I need to give that another stamp. Sometimes the ink's still there on the stamp even though it hasn't come out on the paper, and some papers are different, but a lot of cardstock these days you can stamp directly onto. They haven't got a coating like this particular cardstock here. Not looking too bad now. I'll just let that paper soak it up. There we go, that will do for my purposes. Right, so this time I'm just going to stamp Hope out onto a plain piece of card. A magnet in the way, stopping the print. Then I'm going to colour her in, and as I say, then I'm going to fussy cut her out and put her on top of the image that I've already printed, but I will have these little bits that I won't be able to fussy cut because it's just too much, and I'm not the best fussy cutter in the world, to be honest. I'll just give her one more going over and then I'll be ready to colour her in. Okay, so here's Hope all ready to get a bit of colour to put on the background paper. You could use your stamp pads to use for colouring. Alcohol markers, my favourite are Pro markers. Your watercolour paints, well used, but my go-to are watercolour pencils. That's always been my favourite, working with pencil, and to use the watercolour pencil, and also do like watercolouring, I should say. So it's a kind of a mix of the two, and that's what I prefer, so that's what I'm going to go with this time. Okay, so I've gone round Erica's beautiful lines of Hope's dress with my watercolour pencil. Not been taught, but this is how I like to do it anyway. So I do all the shading really by following the lines and then just dragging the colour through to the rest of the dress so that you do have the darker lines. Just gives a bit of contour. There's just some clean water on the brush and just dragging that colour through. Obviously, depending on the medium that you're going to use to colour in will depend on the stamp pad that you use when you stamp out. Some are for water and others are for your alcohol markers, otherwise they will tend to bleed. Right, so that's the first layer, and I will wait for that to dry and then I'll go over again. So I've just gone over again, just really to darken some of those areas where you would expect the colour to be that little bit darker. And again, just pulling that out with a bit of clean water. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of contrast in the rest of the dress and her face, arms and her wings, and I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so using the same principle, I've done her face and her arms in a flesh tone colour. Just going to give her a little bit of colour on her cheeks. And on her lips. And just throw in a little bit of colour just to pull in the green on the background paper that I'm using. So these colours will hopefully pull in and match the paper that I'm using. And for her wings, use a touch of yellow. Again, just really going round the outlines that Eric has already given us. Not sure whether I'll be able to fussy cut these particular bits out, but we'll give them some colour. And then just with a clean paintbrush, a bit of water, just drag that colour through. And now she just needs her hair done, and I think we're there. Okay, so fussy cutting done, much to my husband's amusement. The faces I pull apparently are horrendous while I'm doing that. It's just the concentration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place her on some pads on here, but now you can see why I've stamped her initially on the cardstock there, because I couldn't fussy cut all these beautiful little flourishes that Erica puts in. So I am going to give those a little bit of colour just to pull in with her wings there, and then I'm going to put some foam pads on the back and put her on the top there. So I've added a little bit of ink around the edges of my cardstock, and rather than use the large hope on my card, which actually ties in really nicely with the design of the cardstock, I decided that I would just use these beautiful little sentiment here: learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. And now I've got hope here all padded out at the back, so I'm just going to take these off here and pop her on. I've also, where I've not been able to fussy cut round her hair and her armpit, I've noticed that it was green on the cardstock. So what I've done is, I'll show you once I've got these off, I've just coloured her in green just so that it doesn't look white and looks a bit strange because it's not flowing with the rest of the design. So here we have her. So this little bit here, it just made it flow. And as you can see, I've followed on the yellow theme for her wings there. And there she is. So I'm just going to pop her onto my mats and layers and onto the card, and probably just a little bit of bling. I'll show you the final result shortly. And so here's the finished result. I've added a little bit of sparkle because Hope does sort of seem to be a bit fairy and magical like, and also I use the Posca pen. Get them in various colours. I think you get sparkly ones as well, but it's quite nice. I just add a few little dots around in the background. It just gives a little bit more interest to the background, but there are a few already on there. Hope is just one of six of Erica's dancing ladies that she did. They're all absolutely gorgeous, and Becky from the design team, her daughter, refers to them as the teenager of cotton socks. So of course you have Hope, and you also have Joy. Sorry, these are well used, so covered in ink, but even the backgrounds are just absolutely gorgeous. The attention to detail that Erica puts into these is amazing. And Love with this gorgeous dragonfly. And there's also Peace. She reminds me of a Disney princess, so it would be gorgeous for a little girl. And again, you have all these little extras, these olives and the doves of peace. And there's Faith. You can see the moon. I love this moon here. Her face is just absolutely gorgeous. And again, you just get all these little extra flourishes. And all of these are available on the Stampanory website. Just go ahead to www.stampanory.co.uk and you will find this range of stamps there ready for you to buy if you'd like to. And that of course is Grace, another one of my favourites. So as I say, please check out the website www.stampanory.co.uk where you'll be able to find these gorgeous stamps that you can still purchase directly from Erica. There we go. And back to Hope and the card that we just made. Hope you enjoy, and thank you very much for joining me. Bye.